Hello, my name is Joshua Kelly. This is my informative speech for this week. This week I'm going to be talking about the Minuteman III nuclear weapons system. I figured it was a good speech since this week would be the anniversary of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atom bombs. These are the only two nuclear weapons or atomic weapons ever used in battle or war, thank God. But what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about the Minuteman III, my experience with it, a little bit of history, and a little bit of operational information that I acquired through my time in the Air Force. But first of all, most people think of nuclear weapons as an aggressive tool that we have to keep people at bay, but that is not the truth. The truth is that we use the nuclear weapons as a deterrent. They're a deterrent so people don't invade our country. That being said, if they do invade our country, we have the tools necessary to counter-strike their country with these land-based nuclear weapons, or ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles. But the Minuteman III was superseded by the Minuteman I and the Minuteman II. The Minuteman I and Minuteman II were the first of their kind, but they're still pretty rudimentary. Capable of holding one warhead, very small warhead. The Minuteman III is the longest-running land-based nuclear missile program that the United States has ever had. There have been many: Titan, Atlas, the Nike. The list goes on and on. During the Cold War, we had so many land-based nuclear missiles. It wasn't funny. The Minuteman I was designated to be a launch platform. It was supposed to be on the back of a truck so you can move it around and launch it at any point in time, but they decided to put it into the silos. Those started out. The Minuteman I started out at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. John F. Kennedy, President JFK, if you will, came up and toured the sites and declared that these were his ace in the hole. That being said, they weren't his ace in the hole so he could hold the world hostage, but they were his ace in the hole if we were to ever get attacked. He knew that we had the means necessary to defend ourselves, or as they call it, mutually assured annihilation. But Minuteman III, spectacular weapon system for being as old as it is. The first operational test flight was conducted August 16th, 1968. The first operational missile was placed April 17th, 1970. So these have been in service and ready and armed and ready to go since 1970, and they have no plans of getting rid of these missiles until at least 2020. And that's the next time they will evaluate the weapon system, and either they will find a replacement or they will continue to expand its lifetime. So these are capable of multiple configurations. During my time, we did a lot of switches with bombs. If anybody's out there familiar with the START Treaty, the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty that we have with Russia, we both reduced our numbers. That means we reduced the number of nuclear warheads we have on the missiles, and we just reduced the number of missiles we have altogether. They did the same thing, but Russia, they still... their warheads are still far more powerful than ours. They have the megatons and stuff like that. Those are huge, huge warheads. Oh, man. So, they can hold, Minuteman III can hold up to 3 Mark 12s, Mark 12A or Mark 12s. The Mark 12 is 170 kiloton. The Mark 12A is 335 kilotons. So, to put that in perspective, Hiroshima was 15 to 18 kilotons. Nagasaki was 20 to 22 kilotons. So we're talking about roughly something 5 to 6 times as big as these bombs. They were huge. Now what we've done is we've gone through to a new RV, our reentry vehicle. It's not as big, but it is new, newer technology, so it's a little bit easier to use. We went to the Mark 21, but that is still a 300 kiloton warhead. They can do a lot of damage, and we have up to 3 of these on one missile. At any given location, we can't give out the information. What sites have what. That's part of the START Treaty as well. But that being said, we can target up to 3 locations independently anywhere in the world by one missile. And there were three missile bases in this country that have these missiles. We have Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota, Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, and F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. All these bases have 150 missiles apiece. So you think about 400 missiles with up to 3 warheads on each missile. Can do a lot of damage if we choose to use them. Hopefully we won't have to. But it's a 3-stage solid fuel, 5-point star fuel configuration system. When it's launched from the ground out of a launch tube. It travels up to 15,000 miles per hour. There was a joke in the Air Force that you hit the button, it's kind of like a pizza, you know, assured delivery within a half hour. So if you knew the Russians were launching, you knew you had about 30 minutes left to live, because it was guaranteed that they were going to target the nuclear bases first. So it was just a joke we had. But they would launch out of the silos, and these weapon systems are so accurate. We do simulations out at Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is our test base, and we would do simulations with these. We would launch them over Hawaii into these, I believe they're called the Kwajalein Atolls. And these weapon systems are so accurate, we are able to put a re-entry vehicle that falls from outer space through the window of a building. It's pretty impressive in terms of accuracy, but still, it's nuclear. It's a nuclear bomb. But it doesn't have to be pinpoint. But at the same point in time, when you take the accuracy of a Russian nuclear weapon, give or take a few hundred yards, they'll hit their target. So if we want to put a bomb through the window in a Kremlin, we could, if we so choose to. This is a very excellent weapon system. When it launches, it'll go through its 3 stages, and what it'll do is it'll go into the atmosphere, into the outer space, and by then it'll have the PBCS, or post boost system, and it'll go and it'll rotate into position, and the shrouds will fall off and expose the warheads themselves, and they will rotate just like a satellite in outer space until their target is acquired, and they will just detach from the pod, and they will target their targets independently. So if you wanted to, you could probably take out half the Eastern Hemisphere with just a couple nuclear bombs. When you watch the movies, it's nothing like the movies. It's so far-fetched. But these things, they fall out when you see them. You don't see a rocket coming. You see it like it's a meteorite. And that's all you see. And then you see the explosion. Like I said before, the weapon system is not used for hostile acts. It's not used to hold the world hostage. Like I said, it's used as a deterrent. When you actually go up and you start to work on these missiles and you start to learn the weapon system itself, you learn how pretty much harmless they are unless they are activated and unless they are targeted. Seriously, these things are impossible to blow up without being armed. I mean, you could stick C4 on them, they're not going to blow up. They have fuses inside. If they're temperature sensitive, if they get too hot, they will melt and the bomb will defuse. But the Minuteman weapon system is something I'm very familiar with, something I've come to appreciate, something I've come to admire. And like John F. Kennedy said, it's our ace in the hole. It keeps us safe. But safe to an extent, we still have nuclear weapons. But in conclusion, it's here for us. It's not here to scare us. It shouldn't scare us. We have very competent technicians, very competent crews working on these things night and day, and we have a very excellent alert rate. That is my submission for this week. Thank you very much.